Good morning, viewer. Bien Nashar. Here's the breaking news. Yes, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping came together in Beijing this month to herald a new era of the China-Russia relationship. The bilateral relationships, which the two leaders have dubbed as one with no limits, has been on an upward trajectory for years, while the bonhomie has been most visible since 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. The two countries have been cozying up for at least a decade. The China-Russia relationship has ramifications for India. While Russia is an old friend from the Cold War era when India had few partners in the West, China is India's principal rival with whom it has fought a full-fledged war and is engaged in a military standoff in Ladakh, which is now in its fifth year. The Chinese aggression at the border has driven the relationships to its worst since 1962. Even if New Delhi would not say it publicly, the coming together of Russia and China is a headache for India, says Shashwati Rao of the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis (MPIDSA). In simple terms, India is currently seeing its one-time best friend Russia becoming best friend with its long-time rival China. Russia had been India's principal partner since the Cold War days, but for the past many years it has moved closer to China. Today, China has become so integral to the Russian economy and geopolitics that the relationship is indispensable for them, says Rao, an associate fellow at the Europe and Eurasia Center of MPIDSA. The boom in the China-Russia relationship started picking up pace after the invasion and annexation of Ukraine's Crimea in 2014. Since 2022, the two countries have taken their convergence to whole new levels. While China has provided dual-use technology used in ammunition and arms manufacturing to Russia, it has not cheap oil and gas from Russia. As Western sanctions closed several markets for both imports and exports, China filled that space by providing everything from machines, components to cars and semiconductors to Russia. China has become invested in Russia's victory in Ukraine. The two countries are more aligned than ever. China sees itself as the challenger to what it calls US hegemony. It wants to subvert the US-led world order in its favor, and Russia is a natural partner. For Russia, China is now indispensable after Europe and much of the West of the Kurds, says Rao. Since 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea, and more so since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Russia's approach to international relations has undergone a fundamental shift. Before 2014, Russia was much more committed to genuine multipolarity. It was engaging the European Union in the West and was working proactively with Japan and South Korea and Asia. In the podcast Global India of the Brookings Institution, Russia expert Nivedita Kapoor said in the Russia Far East in the Arctic, it was Japan and South Korea that were the preferred partners for Russia, and there was sort of an unwritten rule that is often talked about that Chinese companies should have a minimum role in energy projects in the Arctic. Beyond the exclusive report.